Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to take a look at the major astrological energies of December 2023. Yes, we're already at the 12th month of the year. It is insane that time has flown by so fast, but this is the accelerated path that we're on. This is what's going to continue going forward, where time continues to speed up and the pace of life quickens on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. These are the energetics that we're in. And as I'm saying all this, I'm getting a very quick download here that this is part of what has transpired ever since we have moved through some very powerful portals. And my galactic team is bringing me to the energy of the 1987 harmonic convergence. That was a powerful energy portal that shifted our experience of the time-space continuum. Then they're showing me how the energies changed again when we moved through the perceived ending of the Mayan calendar. So back in 2012 to 2015, we had significant interactions between Pluto in Capricorn and Uranus in Aries, squaring each other across those 3 years. That was another significant energy shift of how we experienced time on our planet. And now they're showing me that every time we interact with galactic streams of consciousness, that also affects our reality here on the planet. And that's actually significant as we move into December, when the sun in Sagittarius will be conjunct the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sag. Plus, we're going to have Mars conjunct the galactic center the last day of the year, and the upcoming Mercury retrograde is going to interact with the galactic center 3 times as well. So we're dealing with energies that are really shifting what we experience on this planet. We are up leveling. Yes, we are. I know it could seem like we're not at times, almost like we take 3 steps back before taking 4 steps forward. But they're showing me that's part of how we're breaking out of these constraints of time. And yet we still need our calendars. We still need our clocks in order to ground us into this reality, keep us on task and focused, ensuring that we're taking care of everything that's important in our physical reality. So I suppose that's one of the main messages here of December, is that we're going to keep shifting our experience of time as more of these incoming streams of galactic consciousness filter in and work with us both individually and collectively. And so in addition to galactic energies being heightened in December, we're also going to have 3 planets stationing direct: Neptune, Chiron, and Jupiter, as well as Mercury retrograde beginning December 12th. And I will touch on that, but I will have a separate podcast episode for you discussing the energetics of Mercury retrograde. And not only is Mercury busy this month, but Venus is as well, as Venus moves from the end of Libra into Scorpio and then into Sagittarius before the end of the month. So I will share all of that with you in today's podcast episode. Now, as I was preparing to record this episode for you, I was sitting with the energies of the month and looking at the themes, what's coming up, the cycles that we're in. And there's something about this month that is meant to give you validation of what you have really up-leveled in your life, especially in 2023. This is a month to look at how far you've come. Look at how you have stuck with some things that you probably really wanted to throw out the window. Look at how you kept going amongst those really hard, dark phases. And look at how your energy has continued to adapt to these new frequencies. Look at how you've been able to gain strength and perhaps greater clarity the further you go. Look at how, even though we're in a new playing field of cosmic energies, look at how your energy has really risen up to meet these energies, that you've been able to evolve in ways that at the time, maybe you didn't think it was such a big deal, but it literally set you off on a different trajectory. And I'm getting the image of, standing on your feet. And if you pivot just a few inches to the left or to the right, you're changing where your energy goes. So instead of facing forward, let's say you take both your feet and you just shuffle them to the right, and you're turning them and you're pointing in a different direction. And maybe it's minor. It's like only a 5-degree shift or a 7-degree shift. But what that does is it puts you in alignment with all new energies in that direction. And I feel like that's what's happened for many people, is that you've pivoted into new understandings of what you can choose, of how you're growing, healing, learning. You're understanding that your energy is flexible. It's like it's willing and desiring to grow. And I feel this at a soul level, certainly at the higher self level and at the soul frequency, whereas the mind can shut it down. And so if you have a strong mind, even a strong ego, it can shut down your own growth. It can stop you from pivoting into a direction or in a way that's actually for your better and higher development. But this is a year where they're showing me that so many people were actually forced to pivot, and it was for good reason. It was for a good cause. And we don't always see that in the moment. But this would be a time to look back in hindsight and really acknowledge what you have shifted for yourself. They're showing it to me as incremental changes, very small, perhaps even felt like breadcrumbs, like minuscule pieces of sand. And then over time, that has grown into so much more, and you've stepped into more of who you are and your potentials in a way that could only come about because of this willingness to pivot, to shift, to grow. And so this is a month where you could feel those integrations really landing. And that's because of the 3 outer planets that are stationing direct. So we're going to have Neptune station direct at 24 degrees, 53 minutes of Pisces on December 6th. And when this energy is moving slowly, the Neptune station often creates the energy of being more dreamy, feeling off planet, even being more tired, overwhelmed, worn out. And that's because how I see it is that this is where you're integrating more of those higher frequencies from your spiritual self, your God self, your higher self, your soul's essence, whatever it feels like for you. It's incoming, it's really landing, and it's meant to take you beyond the physical. It's meant to take you outside of your physical reality and your 5 senses to develop more of your intuitive senses and your spiritual gifts. So Neptune stations direct December 6th, and this is where things are coming in to offer you more energetic support, even though it could feel like you're just wiped out, you need more downtime, you only want to nap and rest. That's your body receiving those downloads. You're receiving that influx of energy that is of a higher vibration. And it can be overwhelming at times because we're integrating these new codes. We're integrating these new ways of trusting ourselves and what we're capable of. So I feel that the Neptune station direct is one of the biggest energy shifts of December, and it allows you to work with your intuition more, to trust yourself more, to understand that you have this gift of tapping into the unseen. How are you using it? How are you activating it, especially on a daily basis? And this can be through minor things, very simple everyday things that you're just trusting those whispers of your soul. You're just allowing the energy to speak to you. So Neptune stationing direct is also where we check in on our intuitive growth and how you are allowing yourself to hear those messages more, where it's going to override the mind or the ego and the body and ask you to do something in a new way or in a different way. And that is something that we can travel forward with, is this understanding that there are unknown realms and multiple dimensions that we can connect to and work with. And how are we trusting that and allowing that to be a part of our physical human experience? Now, the second planet to station direct in December will be Chiron. And Chiron is actually an asteroid located between Saturn and Uranus. And it's beautiful to understand the placement of Chiron because it's literally the connection link between your physical self, your physical reality of Saturn, and your otherworldly gifts of Uranus. So Chiron assists us in bridging these realities and integrating more of what we came here to heal, but it brings up the traumas, the wounds, the vulnerabilities. And so as Chiron stations direct on December 26th, which is Boxing Day and when Kwanzaa begins, it's also the Cancer full moon. And I feel like it highlights what emotional wounds have you moved through? What have you elevated? Perhaps you've been guided to become more emotionally balanced or centered. You've been able to exfoliate or work through things that maybe would have gotten to you previously, like previous years or previous phases in your journey. Chiron, stationing direct at 15 degrees of Aries, is showing you new areas of your self-identity to love, embrace, and accept. It's showing you more of how you can be independent and solid on your own. Chiron stationing direct is at the very middle of Aries, and so it's halfway through its journey in Aries. It will move into Taurus in 2026, and so this is checking in on all the ways you've taken care of yourself that you've been required to do on your own. And that can be scary. There can be parts of your energy that weren't sure you could handle it on your own, or you had to look at something in the mirror. You had to face a part of yourself that wasn't healed, and it was activating traumas from the past or bringing up things that you didn't know how to work through or work with. I feel like this Chiron stationing direct can really bring you into more self-acceptance, more self-love, more personal accountability, and more responsibility for your energy, for what is yours to manage and take care of. No one else is responsible for it. No one else can fix it or make it better. And Chiron, representing our wounds, it's where we fall down and get a boo-boo, and then it's up to us to move through that healing process, to take care of ourselves along the way. So I feel that the Chiron stationing direct here in December is checking in on everything you've done for yourself that supported your healing, supported your truth in who you are and who you are not. That's part of Chiron, is that it can show you, I'm no longer that version of myself. And this is really big when it comes to victim consciousness. And I know people don't always want to look at this or accept this part of their energy, but Chiron can bring up where you feel like a victim. You feel like you've been on the receiving end of a lot of harsh crap and unfair things, and nothing is going your way, and that can be a very big story. The victim story can be deeply ingrained. And Chiron wants to show you where you're never a victim unless you're choosing that perspective. Rather, there's gifts available to you. There's potentials here. There's things for you to understand related to a core wound. And even that core wound is a beautiful teacher. So we look at what we are healing, what we're moving through. We understand more of how we have limited ourselves, and we can make some significant breakthroughs when we accept how we've been showing up, how you've been showing up for yourself, and the stories you've been telling yourself about who you are. Chiron can help you rewrite that, but it does require being very honest with yourself and accepting where you've stopped yourself from growing, or from accepting some areas of responsibility in your life. And then at the end of the month, on December 30th, we have Jupiter stationing direct at 5 degrees of Taurus. And 5 degrees of Taurus has actually been quite a power point of energy this year, as it's where we also had a Mercury retrograde in Taurus, and we just had an eclipse at 5 degrees of Taurus as well. So as Jupiter stations here, I feel like it's wrapping up the energies of the Taurus-Scorpio eclipse cycle that we've been in. And Jupiter is stationing direct at this degree point that is asking you to look at, what have you managed well? What do you still need to deal with or figure out? Where are you limiting your own abundance frequency? Where do you need to be more responsible with your finances and your money? Where do you need to step into new areas of learning in this part of your life? And even though we think of Jupiter as the very expansive energy of abundance and wisdom and what we're learning, Jupiter can go overboard, overspend, overeat. Jupiter is where we don't know the limits. But in Taurus, there are the limits. There's the limits of finances or what you need to manage and take care of. There's the limits of the 5 senses where, sure, if you overeat during the holidays, you know exactly what you're going to have to do in January. And so what we're looking at with this particular Jupiter stationing direct, it's asking you to take responsibility for what you maybe didn't want to look at or claim, and to stay in the lens of learning. I'm learning how to be better at this. I'm learning at what it means to manage my impulses, to manage where I want immediate gratification. That is part of Jupiter. Jupiter's like, I want it now and I want all of it. Jupiter is where you go to the buffet and you put everything on your plate. And then you realize, wow, I took too much. I overate. Now I don't feel so good. So what we're learning with Jupiter is how to manage our impulses, our desires. And in Taurus, this definitely relates to the fact that overextending yourself is going to be something you see in your physical world. And that's because Taurus is an earth sign. It's fixed earth, and it wants stability and reliability. It wants you to have things in place that support your energy, that help you feel stronger, where you can stay the course for the long term. So what do you need to change here? Because you've understood, wow, I've been doing too much. I've been overcommitting. I've been overthinking or overgiving. Where are you ready to shift something because it actually gives you more stability to do less? It feels more powerful to apply those boundaries or limitations. You've learned maybe through excess or exaggeration. You've learned how if I go overboard on this, then these are the consequences. And that's something as well with the earth signs, is that they do show us the consequences right in front of us. In some physical capacity, you see, wow, okay, I overspent. Now here's the credit card bill. This is stressful. I don't want to be stressed out about money. I need to do it differently. And this would be the time to make those commitments to yourself and to look at where your energy naturally extends as well as where it naturally retracts, which would be related to your natal Saturn. And so towards the end of December, as Jupiter stations direct at 5 degrees, there's going to be this increasing sextile with Saturn in Pisces that goes into February. So the end of December, January, and into February, Saturn and Jupiter are in a sextile that is supporting you in establishing the parameters of your life that are better for you, that are healthier for you, asking you to really commit to what you need to do because you know it supports your peace of mind, your body. It's good for your health. It's good for your mind. It's good for understanding how you manage energy. And this can be very supportive as well at looking at where you've overdone it in the past. And sometimes with Jupiter, it just feels good. Like things are very much in the moment. But Jupiter is where weight gain shows up. Excessive problems reveal themselves. It's where things come about that you're in over your head. And we don't often hear that about Jupiter. But that's also the truth here, is that for all the ways that Jupiter is about having a good time, let's have a great party, let's have the best food, don't worry about tomorrow, don't worry about cleaning up. Well, we know that that's just a part of life. And when we're understanding the consequences and the probabilities of the cleanup, we can make better choices on the front end. So this is a month to just be more responsible with your energy, to be more aware of what is good for you, what is best for you, and then to create some new boundaries even around where your energy goes out, because it doesn't feel stable. And that Taurus energy, Jupiter in Taurus, wants to feel stable, reliable. I can handle this. I've got this. I'm strong. It's also the energy of being patient with yourself, where when we're making some life changes that are significant, it can just take more time, patience, and practice to really bring them into our reality. And there's support for that this month. If you're really committed to implementing new habits and to no longer going overboard as a form of compensating a need, this is something that December can highlight for you and show you, and also help you get to the root cause of it. Where even the month of December is very much about retail therapy and gift giving and what we want to offer others that feels good for us too. Well, it's looking at the underlining driving factor there of what is that really about? What's the driving feeling or need that you're looking to fulfill through retail therapy or through gift giving? What is the love language that is being fed? And perhaps looking at what is not being fed, what is not being addressed. And that's keeping you in a cycle or in a pattern that is not really how you want to use your energy. And so in December, with these 3 planets stationing direct, you could have some very clear decisions around, I'm not doing that anymore. I don't want that in my life. I don't want that in my energy. That's not good for me. That doesn't feed me or uplift me. I want things that are better for my energy, because that's how I can be of greater service to myself and to others. That's how I can honor my own needs. That's also how I can be more intentional with my energy. I'm also feeling these as happy breakthroughs. Like, wow, yes, I knew it. Something that maybe you already were sensing, and then you get that affirmation that it's correct. I think that Jupiter not only brings about those understandings, but the month of December feels like there's things that you're going to really claim and say, yes, this is true for me now, and I'm okay with letting the rest go. So also in December, we're going to see Mercury enter Capricorn on December 1st, and then will station retrograde on December 12th at 8 degrees of Capricorn. This also coincides with the Sagittarius new moon on December 12th at 21 degrees of Sagittarius. And so here we have an opportunity to really look at the bigger picture of what we're choosing. So this goes back to what I was just saying about where we seek out immediate gratification, where we're looking for things that make us happy, lift our energy. It tastes good, it feels good, it looks good. All of that can come up in a very prominent way this time of year. But with this December 12th energy, the Sagittarius new moon and Mercury stationing retrograde at 8 degrees of Capricorn, you could have some new awareness around what you believe now that is better for your energy and what you no longer want to continue to put energy towards. This Mercury retrograde will travel back into Sagittarius, where Mercury will travel actually to 22 degrees of Sag. And I feel like this is going to be where we're resourcing our inspiration. We're reconnecting with what we truly believe and desire. And there's things here that we're going to be rethinking, reconsidering, reflecting on. Those are typical words for every Mercury retrograde. But Mercury retrograding from an earth sign back into a fire sign is where we reconnect with that burning desire of what we really want. What was the inspiration? Because with the fire sign, something gets going. It's about growth and movement and action. It's about what lights you up, what literally fires you up. And then as the planet moves into the following earth sign, the earth sign takes that inspiration, that action, that desire, and puts it into a plan, puts it into reality, and looks at, okay, how are we going to get there? How is this going to come together? The earth signs are strong with the how, the process, what realistically and practically needs to be implemented. And so during December, there's going to be readjustments here in the Capricorn areas of your life where you're looking at, that's where I want to go, which is Capricorn. That's the goal. That's the direction. That's what I want to achieve. And you go back into Sag to open up how that can happen. Where, there isn't just one way to climb a mountain. There's unlimited ways. And you're going to need different supplies or different resources along the way. So this could be something where you're reconnecting with that desire of a dream, what you want next. And this can definitely apply to your 2024 goals. This is where you thought, okay, next year I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then this Mercury retrograde could bring about things you didn't see before, and you have to redirect. You have to get a new game plan. You have to reassess. And it's looking at, you know what? Don't give up hope. Because when the energy goes back into Sagittarius, that's a reconnection with the hope. That's a new level of faith of, oh, right, okay, the first direction didn't seem like it was going to take root. The first plan wasn't really the best strategy. We go back into Sagittarius and we look at, okay, let's consider other options. How are other ways to proceed with this? What are other choices that still resonate with that inspired intention or what you want to move towards? And so this Mercury retrograde is where we look at the fact that, if I'm going to get this done, I'm trusting that there's multiple ways to do that. And you could be refueled by that level of inspiration during this Mercury retrograde. And as I mentioned, I'll do a separate podcast for you going into those energies even more, because this Mercury retrograde has some fortuitous connections where it trines Jupiter in Taurus, it sextiles Saturn in Pisces, and it goes over the galactic center 3 times. So overall, this could be a very beneficial Mercury retrograde where the perceived delays are such gifts and there's such wonderful ways to trust the process of something you're moving through. Throughout much of December, we have the sun journeying through Sagittarius, which is the case every year. The sun moves through Sag and then reaches the Capricorn solstice on December 21st. And this is always a significant shift because that Capricorn solstice brings us into the 4th quarter of the astrological year. It's a turning point of the seasons, whether you are in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. The sun moving into Capricorn brings about a seriousness, a reality check. It's also the astrological sign where we end and begin each calendar year. And so it is where we reflect on what we have achieved this year, what we've done well as what we want to take into the new cycle of the next calendar year and continue to put energy towards. Or we decide, it's not worth it. This isn't the path. I'm going to reassess and come up with some new goals. So the sun entering Capricorn on December 21st also shifts us into the vibration of the next year. And we start to understand, okay, we only have so much time on this planet. We only have so many hours in a day, so many days in a month, so many months in a year. So it brings us into what we're doing with our lives. And I feel like December opens up possibilities inspirations. Maybe it's where you really revisit your bucket list. You look at, this is what gives me life. This is what really lights me up and where I feel like I'm living a good life. And then the energy of Capricorn is where we integrate those notions into our life plan. And I feel like December wants to continually allow us to expand so that we can make the most of our human experience. We can really make the most of our life path and what our soul wanted to experience in this lifetime. So for this month, take a look at what you have moved through this year, what you have perhaps checked off your bucket list, what gave you life, what inspired you, and then stay aware that anything is possible in these energies as we continue to up-level and accelerate into higher frequencies. It does require more responsibility. It does require greater intentionality as well. But you could have some beautiful insights of where you want to go in the next year and beyond. You could have some beautiful things show up that give you a sense of, yes, I want that in my life. That matters to me. That's something I want to experience and accomplish. That's something that really has a lot of energy that's speaking to me. And so that's how I want to leave the podcast here, is that December is a month to really check in with your soul's frequency, to really go into how are you creating a life experience that you love. I mean, you deserve that. You deserve to live a life that is joyful and inspiring and makes you feel good to be alive. And I realize there's some people who don't have that belief system or that thought process, but it's open to all of us. And yes, we have challenges. We have some years that are much harder than other years. We have some significant astrological transits that can bring us to our knees, especially astrological transits from the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Those are tough energies because things are changing and evolving outside of our perceived human control. In fact, those are the transits that will trump other transits in your chart, where yes, you can have some big Saturn transits that are very real world, very karmic even, and bring about consequences. But the Saturn transits move through faster than the outer planet transits. And so any transits with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are going to be more significant in your soul journey, definitely be tougher and harder to navigate and move through at times. But the bigger picture is all of these transits are a part of your soul growth and are a part of what your soul signed up for in this lifetime, if that's what you believe, because of course I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm just offering other ways to understand your own journey and to remember that you can always connect to your power, your light, your choices, that you embody the universe in physical form. And then it's often through those transits that we have to go higher in our consciousness. And so that's important to understand, is that these are actually transits that invite you into more of that energy expression. So the Uranus, Neptune, Pluto transits are inviting you into those areas of your consciousness that maybe you haven't looked at, understood, or dug into before, but they are showing you more of your energy expression, of what you're capable of, and what they have to offer you through their evolutionary process. This could also be a good time to reflect back on the eclipses of 2023. How those eclipses showed up for you. So let's go back to the April 20th solar eclipse that occurred at 29 degrees 52 minutes of Aries. And that eclipse actually was squaring Pluto. How has that transpired for you since April? Where have things really been required to shift for you at 29 degrees of Aries in your chart? Then we had the May 5th Scorpio lunar eclipse at 15 degrees. And that brought up what needed to be seen in a new light, where you have to make life changes or really allow a deeper transformational process to occur. So that happened at 15 degrees of Scorpio in your chart. How has that played out for you since May 5th? Then we just had the recent eclipses in October at 21 degrees of Libra, and then the Taurus lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Taurus. So you could go around your chart. I'm giving you an exercise here. Go around your chart and look at these 4 degree points for the eclipses to see what has come up for you. So again, 29 degrees Aries, 15 degrees Scorpio, 21 degrees Libra, 5 degrees of Taurus. And these eclipses of this year were each in the 4 elements. 1 in fire, 1 in water, 1 in air, 1 in earth. And so parts of your reality had to shift across all 4 elements this year. And we do better in some elements than others, right? Depending on your chart. Maybe you're more comfortable with the water signs than the air signs. Those of you who are in my 2023 Soul Growth Astrology program, you can sign in and review those teachings, review that astrology. How did it play out for you this year? What showed up for you? It's a great way to look at the astrology in your life and how things have transpired and what has shown up. And then going forward, when you check out the 2024 Soul Growth Astrology, which is an even bigger program where we go through all these eclipses, plus Pluto moving back into Aquarius in January, January is going to be a kapow month. January is going to bring it in big time. And there's things that are shifting and evolving that are happening at a faster pace. Also coming up in 2024, the Galactic Grand Trine that I'm so excited about because of how it's evolving us as a species, how it's bringing up more information, more stories, more ideas that have been hidden and repressed, especially about our history. Human history has not been fully explained. Our DNA actually comes from off planet. There have been scientific studies shown that human DNA has been around longer than the Earth has existed. So how do you explain that? Well, through DNA experiments and how our DNA has been changed and played with. That's part of the energy of 2024. Also in the program, we talk about the Mercury retrogrades, why June is a really big month for Venus. And it's not something you see right away, but that's part of being an astrologer. It's like I'm looking at the patterns. I'm looking at, oh my goodness, this Venus energy in June can bring about things that you've been wanting to manifest for the past 4 years. We talk about that. We look at the upcoming Mars retrograde in Leo that happens at the end of 2024, plus Jupiter going into Gemini, and how that changes the connection between Saturn and Jupiter, and how things are going to continue to shift and evolve, multiple paths, multiple choices, important things to understand. So 2024, it actually has a lot of beautiful multidimensional energies. There's areas of your life that are going to feel like they're on a fast track. There's parts of your reality that are going to be up-leveling with new ideas, new consciousness, new ways to address issues that could just feel more effortless. I actually feel too, like in 2024, more people are going to be channeling their guides. They're just going to have more of a harmonious connection with their off-planet support teams. There's going to be a lot more creativity coming through as well. Almost like you get more answers, more solutions, and they're not from the mind. This is part of how humanity is evolving. We're moving out of relying upon our minds so much to the point that we don't even understand more of what we're capable of. And you have to understand that part of our human evolutionary journey is to open up what's been shut down, to open up the parts of our energy fields that we didn't learn to trust. And as I say this, I'm being pulled back into kindergarten, primary school, elementary school, where kids are really focused on reading, writing, arithmetic, and everything about mental development is prioritized, but at the detriment of our emotional well-being at times, or our intuitive skills, where we stop listening to our body or the messages that we're receiving from other sources. This is a time where we can connect with more of our multidimensional strengths, and that's part of how we're going to evolve humanity, which is very important because there are energies that do not want humanity to evolve. They do not want you trusting your intuition or understanding the power of your full energetic ecosystem. There are energies, there are forces, there are agendas that want you to stay under the mind control that has persisted for decades. But this is going to be a year where we can break out of that. We can trust it more in a way where it can't be manipulated, tampered, or shut down. And I know with Pluto going into Aquarius, there's a lot of energy about power to the people and we the people. And yes, that is absolutely an energy that can rise up. But first, you have to look at all the power dynamics in play that don't want that. And Pluto brings up what we have to powerfully move through and overcome, what we have to step away from in order to create new experiences with our gifts, with our full multidimensional abilities. I mean, I'm even getting the message about how much we're controlled by electronics and frequencies, how there's a lot of off-planet interference right now with all the satellites. They're not even all satellites. There's a variety of things out there that have been unleashed above Earth that are not fully disclosed, meaning they might file it as a satellite, but it's more than that. Actually, what I'm seeing is that part of these frequencies interfere with our own telepathy abilities, with our energy reading skills, with our ability to understand and trust ourselves. So yes, there's interference. There's absolutely interference, but you have to note that we are stronger than this. We are more aware and more conscious, and that this is where you claim your individual sovereignty, which is part of Pluto in Aquarius as well, where it's in that sovereignty that you declare how you're going to use your energy, what has access to you, what does not, and how you're able to power up in that way. So 2024, great energy coming in. I know that still means a lot of shifts and changes and transformations, but that's not going to end. That's just part of the energy that we're in. So it's also about being spiritual adults and not spiritual teenagers. Teenagers, they whine and they complain and they get upset when someone takes away their games and they pout about having to be responsible or work. So this is where we also have to be in our power as spiritual adults who understand the reality of the world, but who also are deeply connected to our power to create our own reality, to up-level our own reality, and to be in that place of spiritual maturity. So I hope you'll join me in that 2024 Soul Growth program. So many of you have loved it. I'm so happy to answer your questions there too, and to interact with you, and to also give you a heads up to look at your chart and to know what you're moving into in the year ahead. And yes, it's still on sale for a limited time when you use coupon code 2024. It's only $33 for all the videos, all the teachings. There's at least 10 of them, and they're designed for you to come back and look at again and again. I mean, the full program is over 400 minutes long, but it's divided into digestible topics and content. So I'll put the link below the podcast, and I hope to see you over there. And in the meantime, wishing you a beautiful December full of wonderful enlightenments and breakthroughs, showing you more about how you want to use your energy going forward, as well as how you no longer want to show up or use your energy. And we will keep discussing these energies in my weekly Wednesday podcast. So you have new podcast episodes from me every Monday and Wednesday. And please check out my YouTube channel, where you will find a ton of information, teachings, and resources in my playlists. You'll find a lot of topics under my YouTube playlist that I hope help you with understanding your astrology. And that's all free. That's all free content to support you and to help you understand your energy in this lifetime. You can find all of my current offerings at mollymccord.online. And I also hope to connect with you on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much for joining me. Wishing you a beautiful 12th month of 2023. I am grateful for your energy, your connection, and your presence. And I look forward to connecting with you as we move into the new year as well. Take good care, and I'll see you back here soon.